Hello everyone, it's Simone. I'm sharing my currently inked fountain pens for the month of August with you today. I have 10 pens inked with some surprises, as I just realized. 4 are carryover pens and from July, and 6 are freshly inked or newly inked. I inked them in the beginning of August. And I have been documenting my fountain pens or my currently inked pens in this notebook since October 2021. Here's the first entry. The others I cut out of another notebook that I had been using. And I am actually really over it right now. This is a personal size traveler's notebook insert. I divided the size of the pages in 2 books. This is the one that I just added another cover. The insert is from Paper Penguin Co. And I hope that by continuing to the end of 2023, documenting my 30 inks, 30 days in here, maybe I'll be done by then and can move on to something else. And if not, I will definitely move on to something else in January of 2024. In July, I switched up the format a little bit on how I document. Previously, I had just written 2 lines. Now there is 3. And yeah, that's what's going to happen. I have started another ink fountain pen journal. I'm just going to show this to you right now. I'm trying it in a Hobonichi Avec from 2021. And I actually had removed some of the pages, and what I decided or wanted to do is put in each pen and ink combination that I have inked up like I do here. However, usually when I film those videos, I tell you something about my first impression of this inking, and I never write it down anywhere. And that's what I try to capture here. And then when I come back to do a review, I also say something, and that I want to add that here in the bottom, right there. And so maybe I will add my currently inked into this notebook in the future. I don't know yet. We will see how this develops. Sometimes when I start a new journal, then suddenly other things become redundant, and we'll figure out what that exactly is. So let's get started. Okay, so I will be writing this here with my newest fountain pen. This is the let's put it carryover pens. This is currently inked. I will have an unboxing for this pen on my channel pretty soon. This is the Esterbrook ST with a techo nib, and this is the Rainforest model, which to me looks more like a sunflower. Okay, so the first pen that I have, I'm showing you right here, and this does not look nice and good. I haven't written with this in a couple of days. Well, a couple is a little bit exaggerated. Quite a few days. Let's see what the ink cartridge says. So, in my currently inked review from July, I shared that I did not enjoy the writing experience with this ink because it was super dry, or it felt very dry. So I decided that I would use white lightning that I had just previously purchased from Vanessa and remove the converter, because I also don't know if the converter is the best for this pen. So I decided I would rinse out a cartridge. Oh, it's almost empty. And fill it with some white lightning as well as the ink, and then try and see how it works. So definitely I can say the flow has improved. However, the ink looks different. The way the ink goes onto the paper looks different. So let me write first and then continue talking. It almost looks like it's the way it seeps into the paper looks different. And then I'm just going to write the ink. Robert Oster, Bird Oster, African Gold. And I will put here white lightning. I assume that by the research that I have done since I filled this cartridge with white lightning, I probably added too much. I'm not sure this would look different. I will have to experiment some more with this. However, when this is empty, I will definitely not refill or re-ink this pen at the moment. I am currently in an experimentation phase, and that's why it's pretty good that September is coming up next month, where I will do 30 inks, 30 days, so I can rethink the amount of pens that I ink and all of that jazz. The reason why I might rethink the way that I ink my fountain pens is, first of all, I now live somewhere else where the climate is much drier, and I noticed that with some of the pens where the cap isn't sealing perfectly well, the ink just seems to disappear, and then it doesn't really make sense to ink up so many fountain pens when the ink just kind of disappears. And also, since I have inked up these new pens, I haven't touched these pens that I'm carrying over. So maybe I need to ink less pens and write all of them dry, and that way I won't have so many pens inked. I won't lose that much ink, which I'm not concerned about losing the ink. It's just, when I write with one pen more often, it just doesn't desaturate. No, it saturates the ink more because the water is evaporating. Yes, the ink gets darker. So let's talk about this. This is the Twisby Mini in AL Grape. As you can see, I do not have the grip section in purple here because I did not enjoy writing with it just felt harder, metally, basically. And since I have spare nibs, I decided to just switch out the grip section. This is really fun ink. I love the way it goes down. It goes down really punchy in this almost neon green color, and it dries to beautiful gold. Let me write. I can't talk while writing, so the broad nib on here is super nice, very wet. And this is Color Traveler Sanuki Udon Dashi Gold. There is not a lot of ink left in this pen. Again, as I said before, when they're done, they are done. Then I have the Franklin Christoph Model 2. in a one-of-a-kind colorway. It has the ink that I had put in it previously, and I did not realize when I shared the first currently inked in July that this is actually a shimmer ink. There's about half a converter left for this. I think I get 2 more writing sessions with this, or a couple of letters, and then this one will be done. As you can see, when I start writing with this right now, it's super dark. This is not at all what the ink looks like. And I mentioned this previously as well. I'm not sure if it's because of the way this cap is sealed or closed. I just noticed with this pen similar things happened. Maybe that's just what happens with maker pens. None of my pens, even if they start really dark, have any of hard starts or a dry out. That's not the issue. The issue is that water seems to disappear and the ink is much darker than it actually is in real life. So this ink is Troublemaker, España Boulevard. And I'll show you what it looks like when it's not. This is what it looks like when it's written in normal color. This is what it looks like when it starts out writing. So this is not really true to color. The last pen that I'm carrying over is this Palette Vanishing Point in yellow with a medium nib. The color that I have in here is Pilot Iroshizuku Yamabudo. And here again, same thing, super dark. I'm wondering if this is a summer thing or if this is something that will continue on in the fall and winter. I will definitely let you know. Yellow, and then the ink is Pilot Iroshizuku Yamabudo. All right, so let's move to the next page and hope this dries really quickly. And if it smears, it's okay. The first pen that I have inked is this Lamy All-Star in petrol. I shared this in my most recent Atlas Stationers unboxing, I think. No, I don't know. The where I unboxed the mystery inks, that's where I also purchased this. I purchased this originally with a medium nib. That's how it came. But I also purchased a separate broad nib. And that's what I put on here because I really wanted to try a Lamy broad nib. I haven't tried that since my school days when the experience wasn't as good as I had hoped. And here we go. This is a super nice rectangle, as you can see. Let's write what the pen is. Lamy All-Star in petrol with a broad nib. This I told you I just purchased or received in July 2023. I have recently fallen in love with Lamy pens again. They feel like home, but why is this so, it looks like it's off when I hold it like so. Like this is not screwed on correctly. Oh well. Lamy pens were the pens that I used to write with in school, And I had a really unlucky streak in the past year or 1.5 years with my Lamy pens, but this one writes beautifully. This is a steel nib. It's a cartridge converter pen, and what did I write? The converter is filled 2/3, and the ink that I have in here is Robert Oster Cafe Crema. Don't know why they write it like this, and this here is basically the color that it looks like. So also with the Lamy pen, we can see that the ink comes out really dark if I don't use it frequently. I just am in love with this pen, with this nib, with the color. I can't really understand why this color, which is so similar to African gold. No, actually it's not. It's quite darker, much darker. It's similar when it's in its original color. Why this is such a great writing experience compared to this ink. So if I was going out and buying inks, I would pick up a bottle of this ink for sure. This I also really like the shade of this brown cafe crema. I'm not sure that the crema of a coffee really looks like that, but yeah. This is the Esterbrook Estie in Sea Glass, and I had it inked in July with Diamine Hellspells, which was a heavily sheening ink. And I think that was the perfect pick for this pen because, as we all saw, in most of these pens really had problems with losing water, and high sheening inks will clog up your pen and dry out. When I used this pen, when I wrote and I stopped to think, the nib would dry out and I would have to prime it or like really try hard to write with it. So I think that was the perfect pick for that ink. Now, I just purchased a new nib, a journaler nib that I also received from the virtual pen show. I have 2 items that I picked up secondhand in this currently inked. One of them is this nib, and I decided to put it on this pen. The Hellspells was done, and so I cleaned it and filled it up, and this is the first time that I'm using it now. It is silver trim instead of gold, but you know me, I don't really care. I'm super excited that I was able to find this nib and did not have to purchase a new fountain pen for it. However, I really, because of the dryness in here, I am more drawn than ever to Esterbrook Esties because of their spring-loaded cap mechanism, and that I can trust that the ink looks basically the way that it's supposed to look. And that's why, because I really wanted to give this nib a fair chance at trying out and not dealing with any other issues besides this nib, I decided to put it in this Estie. So this is a journaler nib. This is a nib that is offered through Esterbrook. This is a steel nib, and it's ground for Esterbrook by Custom Nib Studio. It is a cartridge converter pen, and the ink cartridge is full. The ink is Sailor Manu Nadeshiko. This was an ink that I really wanted to get into a pen, and I'm glad I was able to do this. I originally wanted to put this in my custom 823, but then I was able to pick up this nib, and because I really wanted to try this now and not wait, and because of what I told you previously, I decided that this ink then goes into this pen with this nib so that I have all at one and not two different pens inked up, just to keep my number low, which I know 10 pens isn't low, but I'm really going to get it down more, and we'll see how this progresses. I'm glad that I have a lot of time to think about this before I have to make a decision. Well, I don't have to make a decision. You know what I mean? Like, think this through, take all the time that I have to think it through, and then let's talk about the next pen. If you have any questions about this nib, please let me know. This is it's kind of like a stub, cursive, smooth. It's very similar, but not the same as the stub italic gradient from Franklin Christoph. And I heard it's similar, but it's not the same, and I wanted to try this for myself. I really like that it's not the same rounded nib as others. It makes your handwriting look more interesting, and I'm really, really excited to get to know this more. I have not written with this and journaled with this yet. That's probably what's going to happen tonight. Okay, let's talk about this next pen, which is also a new pen. I am full of surprises this month, or full of new pens. I have really stopped caring about how many pens I have in my collection at the moment, because I know pretty well what I like and what I enjoy using. I know that when I see a pen like this one, that I will enjoy it. So this is the Benu Euphoria. It's one of the most favorite model of theirs. It feels perfect in my hand. It's very big and large. And this is an Atlas exclusive fountain pen made in collaboration with Benu. It is called Gold Coast, and I really enjoy the look of this pen. Photos do not do it justice. It does not really show the iridescence that is in this turquoise color right here, or jade color. And then there is like all of those sparkles up here in the blue. It's just brilliant. So I, again, received this in July. I think I do have an unboxing and sharing of this pen on my channel, like I do with most of the things that you see here. Let me write. This is a medium nib, and this nib is a Jowo nib. This one is a steel nib as well, but this one is a Schmidt nib. It is a cartridge converter pen, and the filling is 2/3. The ink is an interesting ink. My friend Amy gave it to me, no lies, and I have a video of the swatching for this on my channel. It should be the video just before this. Dark matter. Oh, sorry, this is wrong. So this section of the ink goes right here. So this goes here. It's journalized. The series is Starry Night, and the specific ink of that is Dark Matter. my friend Amy and I, we made not a challenge. We decided that this month we would pick 5 inks that we would both ink. We both ink into different pens in our collection, and then we will figure out and understand and correspond about our experiences with these inks. Just a little hint, if you have a pen friend, then maybe that's something that you can do as well to talk about your fun pens. Pick some inks that you both have, share samples with each other so that you both have the same inks, then fill those, use them, and share your experiences with these inks. This is a new brand. Again, I got this sample from my friend Amy. This is a pretty new brand. She brought it back from Japan, but I have seen it on Venice as well as on Jet Pens, and it's not actually a Japanese ink brand, if I'm not mistaken. It's from Hungary. It's very wet. You can see how different it looks in the same nib width, or how different an ink or a nib size looks in the same nib width when I'm showing you this one. This is the Confetti Milkshake. Again, another Euphoria from Benu. This one is a Goulet exclusive. This I have had in my possession since May of this year. And I had previously inked this with a Pilot Iroshizuku ink, and I wasn't a fan of the color, and it was also quite wet like this, maybe even a little bit wetter than this. And the writing experience just wasn't the best. It just felt like it fell onto the page. Euphoria, you can still see that this is a wet pen, but it's not as bad as with the other ink shake. And this is also a medium nib. Same information, it's a steel Schmidt nib. And it's a cartridge converter. This one is full. And the ink that is in here is a Kobe with Lamy collaboration. I didn't really find any information on this ink. Is it made by Lamy? Is it made by Kobe? Maybe Lamy made the pen, maybe Kobe made the ink. The ink color is light rose. And this pink is so lovely. It dries with hints of blue, and it's just really, really enjoyable. Yeah, any questions? I don't know what else to say. This is another new ink pen. I have so many new pens right now. I really need to stop. I would love to add one more Esterbrook SD and maybe a Schoen design pen, but then I think my fountain pen needs are quite saturated. We'll see. The pen show hasn't happened yet. I talked about this in my fountain pen wish list video, which I really need to update and let you guys know what my thoughts are at the moment, because shouldn't make it right now because I still am experimenting with so many things and pens and nibs that I still need to process to be able to update and see where the journey goes. But I was able to get my hands on a Walltown pen. This is a small maker pen. This is my only small maker pen, hand-turned pen in my collection, and it is perfection. It's really bulky. Look at the Esterbrook SD compared to the Walltown pen. This is much girthier, not in the section, but the rest of the pen. And I have seen this specific design on their website previously, and I was really drawn to it. And then I saw this pen being offered on the virtual pen show, and then I didn't even think. I said, hey, I'll take it. This is the grip section right here. I have also inked this with a pink ink, but completely different direction. Yeah, the blank is made by Turned Pen Company, Turned Pen Co. The blank is called Sebastian. The pen model that I have from Walltown has several different pen models. This one is Watts, and I lovingly call this sparkly unicorn poop. I'm really drawn to these colors at the moment. Maybe it's because it's summer. Maybe it's just my personality. Who knows? The nib is a fine steel nib. It's also a JoWo nib, steel JoWo. It's again a cartridge converter pen, and this is full. And I just inked it up again because I didn't really fill it much. I just filled it to here, and when I opened it in preparation to this video, the ink was gone. I only wrote with this, well, I don't know how many letters I wrote, but I wrote with this in my journal only once. So again, I think that I just have to live with the fact that ink will slowly evaporate. The color here, the fountain pen ink is Pilot Iro Shizuku Kosumosu. And this is also one of those punchy inks that still look amazingly great. And then the last pen in this lineup, which is kind of a failure. I should have known. I knew it before going into this. I just really wanted to try this one more time. But I think I have come to the conclusion that I will let go of this fountain pen, which makes me really sad. Look how nicely the brass has aged. Ugh, yeah. Just the thought of having to let go of this pen makes me sad, but at the same time, this pen is just everything that I am not. It's super tiny. It's very skinny. I am not very skinny. I'm also not. Like, it just, look at the hands, look at me, look at how this is in my hand. I used it for journaling yesterday. First of all, I was afraid to use it because I was afraid that I would experience exactly what I experienced when I used it. My hand started to cramp after about this much writing. It just felt super uncomfortable. And yeah, I thought quickly, is there another space for this pen in my life? What if I inked it with platinum carbon black? But I do have pens that I use platinum carbon black for. And then what is really interesting about this nib, and I will write down now what this is: Travelers Company brass fountain pen with a fine nib. This is also a steel Schmidt nib. However, this is a smaller version of Schmidt. This is, I don't know if a converter would fit. I use cartridge. I just rinsed one out, cartridge. And this one is 3/4 full. And the ink that I have in here is Wearinguel Metamor this, and I'm already feeling the cramps right here. It's a very bouncy nib, which isn't a thing. I like bouncy nibs, but especially when I use platinum carbon black ink, I want my lines to be very precise. I really like using these finer nibbed pens in my journal right here, and it didn't really work for me. That's why I actually uninked it. And so I thought, well, maybe I can try it with a colored ink, but it's just, I'm still thinking maybe I'll keep it a little bit just to see if I change my mind. Maybe there will be a use case for this pen, because it feels like I'm abandoning an old friend. But yeah, these are all the pens and inks. I'm currently, as I said previously, thinking that maybe 6 pens in this climate is enough. And then I'd rather ink and unink pens and inks more frequently than having such a large inked up capacity, which then would also mean, I talked about this in, I think it was with Leanne when we did the 8 pen questions. The more pens you have, and when you like only ink up, let's say 10 pens, then how often will a pen be inked each year? So if I reduce this amount to 6 pens, then the number becomes drastically smaller, but my ink fountain pen collection is dramatically growing at the moment. So I already know that I'm really enamored with the Estes, especially because of the spring-loaded cap. So maybe I will add some more, just in a different design for that reason. I'm currently really looking at the Shown Design pen, and I am experimenting with a Sailor Pro Gear Slim with a medium fine nib, and I actually really enjoy the writing experience. So I could see a Sailor with a different sized nib in my future maybe, and I could also see myself, I would really love to try at least a Pelikan fountain pen. But then I'm actually at a point where I'm not necessarily need more pens. I might tweak some nibs, get custom grinds on them, and all these different kinds of things. So even though my collection grew almost exponentially in June and July, it might continue until the end of August, until I've been at the San Francisco Pen Show. But I think then after that, there will be a slower period. I think I said that all the time, but I'm really convinced that that's where this is going right now. Especially when I think about the pens that I just talked about that I would love to add to my collection. They are all extremely expensive pens. So they're not like, oh, let me just drop $500 here and $800 over there. That's not happening. And so it definitely and automatically, naturally is going to slow down a lot. All right. I think that was all. I'm definitely not in this big rainbow mode anymore. Well, all of those together might make a rainbow, but yeah, that's something that fell off as well, especially when I'm going to have 6 fountain pens. Who knows how that is going to be? I'm talking about 6 so that my brain and my mind can adjust to that number, and we'll figure out how that's going to go after. All right. Now, last time. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was an entertaining video for you. I know I never can keep myself short. Sorry for everyone who loves short videos. If you've come this far, I really appreciate you. You are the reason why I make those videos. If you want to support my channel, then I'd love for you to use my code for Atlas Stationers. I also do have a code with Vanessa. They are in the description box down below. And if you are not done with talking about fountain pens and you'd love to meet other people in this community, I did start a Discord and I open it to the public. So you are cordially, can't even say the word, invited to join. A invite link to the Discord server is in the description box as well. If it's not working, please let me know and I'll give you a new one. That's it. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you soon. Bye.